guys, welcome back to another episode of Off the Shelf. I am your host, Burton, and this time we found off the shelf was...
A lot of people think you're as dangerous as the Joker.
What people? I think your friend Wayne is really screwed up.
His parents were murdered in that alley.
I have given a name to my pain. Batman.
He's out there right now. I've got to go to work.
If you gotta go, go with the smoke.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
It's kind of in like a bunch of movies here, but as you can see, we watched the 1989 Tim Burton Batman film. This was released, as I said, in 1989, directed by Tim Burton, music by the ever-so-popular and pretty damn good, Danny Elfman, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. And talking about this movie immediately, I'm going to get into the starring actors into this film. Michael Keaton, as always, fucking spectacular Batman. And there's a quote that I say about this is just about Michael Keaton in general. There's this quote I've heard: everything that Michael Keaton is in, he makes 35% better. And I think so. Michael Keaton's a fucking great actor, and you can't go wrong with Michael Keaton. And, I mean, he's a very good Batman. And his suit, while cool, I've heard in production, he loved working on this movie. He loved working on this movie, but the one thing he despised was that suit. Because, like, there's a scene where he, like, has to pull he has to pull one of these to, like, look up. Like, he has to snap his back like he's playing, like, quippy limbo. Like, literally. I imagine how many... Like, if he had to do several takes of that, I think he would have just broken his back. Like, Jesus Christ. Because, like, in the movie, they show multiple times he can't, like, turn his head at all. He has to, like, turn his whole body to look around. I mean, the suit looks cool as shit, but it's not very practical. With most Batman suits, to be completely fair. Especially at the time. But, now let's get into Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Now... I am a big fan of the Joker, all the interpretations of the Joker. Of course, there are endless interpretations of the Joker. You're talking about comics, live-action, cartoons, whatever. The Joker is a very popular character, and so much so to the point where people nowadays are begging for them to not have the Joker in a modern Batman movie, but I personally don't have a problem with him. I always love seeing a new interpretation of the Joker. I think you can really do anything with the Joker, he's super versatile. But... nowadays, you don't really see a classic comic book Joker. You know, you either see a very original take of the Joker, sure, but let's be real. Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix are not very comic book, like average comic book interpretations of the Joker. They're very different. But Jack Nicholson, from what I've read, he's comic book Joker. He has the widow's peak, he has the haircut, he has the style, he feels like comic book Joker, and I think... he just also has, like, I think his dialogue he has the best dialogue in the movie, because it's the most quotable, he has the most quotable lines in the movie, because he's the fucking Joker. He should have the most quotable lines in the movie, right? And, like, let me name off a few here. Where does he get those wonderful toys? And, would you punch a guy with glasses? Do you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? This is a long one, he's like, you can call me the Joker. And as you can see, I'm a lot happier. There's so many good lines from the Joker in this movie, I could be here all day. I fucking love the Joker in this movie, and he just gives a classic Joker feel that I don't think any Jokers have given in a while. I haven't seen Gotham, so maybe that's different. Maybe I should watch Gotham, but yeah, fucking love this interpretation of the Joker. And I think Jack Nicholson he's just so fun, you know, because... okay, so I genuinely can't tell if Jack Nicholson is such a good actor that it looks like he's having the time of his life, or he really is just having the time of his life playing the Joker. Like, I think I could go either way, because Jack Nicholson's a fucking spectacular actor, and I genuinely can't tell. But to me, it seems like he's having such a fun time as the Joker, and I think, like, he's not taking it very seriously, because obviously... he's a clown. You can't take it that seriously. And also, I like his get-up. You know, I like how he carries himself. He just carries himself like how I think comic book Joker would. And while I do not think that Jack Nicholson is the best Joker, he's definitely up there. I think he's definitely up there as one of the best Jokers. Not to discredit any other Jokers, of course. I just think that he just brings something to the role that I don't think I've seen anybody else bring to the role. If anybody else has, don't quote me on that. I mean, I haven't seen every Joker interpretation, but from the ones I've seen, they're all different, which I appreciate. But as I said, Nicholson, amazing Joker. Super fun, and he's just like, throughout the whole movie, I was just laughing because of how ridiculous this Joker is. But that's, like, I don't know if this comes across as, like, a bad thing, or, like, weird, or, like, sadistic or something. Whenever the Joker does something, or, like, he murders people, like, he's just hilarious. I don't know about it. Like, the Joker's just funny to me. I don't care that he's a murderer. He's not a real murderer. I can laugh at his shit, right? I mean, that's why he's doing it, right? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that makes me a bad person. But, yeah. Now, to the movie. Obviously, there are 3 sequels to this film. Tim Burton only directing Batman Returns, which I've heard Batman Returns is the only good sequel of this, but from the looks of obviously I've seen clips from all these movies. From the sequels, it looks like they're going to be absolutely stupid and fucking ridiculous. But I like a ridiculous movie, so maybe I could get some ironic enjoyment out of them. Who knows? I haven't seen them yet. But yeah, this movie also, as I said, music done by Danny Elfman, classic score, just, you know, absolutely amazing. The Batman theme is the Batman theme, like, it is Batman, you know. I don't think there's any more Batman theme that could be any more Batman than the Tim Burton, like, 1989 Batman theme. It's just perfect. Whenever I hear that theme, I just think, that's Batman, you know? I just think that this movie, even though the movie is campy, like, it feels like Batman, you know? And talking about that, like, this film, back in the 80s, let me take you through a little time machine here. Back in the 80s, before this movie, so this movie influenced the resurgence of, like, dark, like, you know, grimy Gotham Batman. Because before that, in the 60s, obviously, Adam West's Batman came out, and that show's great, right? I don't want to disrespect the show. I don't hate the show. I think the show's great. But one problem that it did bring was it made people think that Batman was campy and silly. But the comics weren't. But once the 60s Batman came out, the comics changed to coincide with the 60s Batman, and they became silly and campy. Then this movie came out, and the animated series came out later that said, hey, Batman is pretty fucking dark, right? And then Frank Miller's Batman and, like, all these other comic book writers were showing us that, yeah, Batman is a dark story. You know, The Dark Knight Returns came out, and then Batman was cool again. And this movie really, this and the animated series made people realize, hey, Batman's fucking cool, right? He's not just a silly goofball, you know? He's a fucking badass vigilante, you know? And that, I really appreciate this movie, if anything. Even though I love this movie, even if you don't like it, if you like Batman, you have to appreciate this movie, because you probably wouldn't like Batman if it weren't for this movie. Just saying. And I just think, also, the film is just, like, it's so well put together, you know? Like, so I really like what happens here. So the pacing, basically, is you get a scene with the detectives, then you get a scene with Bruce at the manor, then you get a Batman scene, and then you get a Joker scene. You know, it's pretty, they kind of mix it up there, but, like, you get enough screen time with all these characters to the point where nobody feels underused. And it just, like, it's just really well paced, and the movie never slowed down for me personally. I think the film was perfectly paced, and I was with the movie the whole way through. And I just feel like, one problem I did have, though, is obviously the Joker was a bit of a pushover at the end of the movie, right? The Joker got his ass beat by Batman, which you might think is obvious at first, but the Joker is prether nimble in the comics and other animated stuff. He can fuck up Batman in the comics. But I understand Jack Nicholson isn't necessarily the strongest looking guy, so I can understand why they didn't go that route. No disrespect to Jack Nicholson, intentionally. But, yeah, really just, I just love this movie, and it makes me want to just, it makes me just, like, want to wear, like a blanket around maybe wear a blanket like a cape, and I just run around like Batman. It's get me immersed in the Batman universe, and I don't know, it just has this aura around it, and I love it. It's a classic, absolute classic, and I don't think I need to explain the plot. I'm gonna just skip over that because, I mean, you've probably seen the movie, but, or if you don't, it's just an average Batman story. Joker is going to do a bad thing, Batman needs to stop him. It's kind of dumbing it down, but that's pretty much it. Just gotta stop the Joker's evil plan. But another thing about this movie is, like, if you're a Batman fan, I don't know if you haven't seen this movie already, so, like, it's kind of weird if you're a Batman fan if you haven't seen this movie. But if you haven't, just watch this movie. Like, streaming, physical, whatever. Watch this movie immediately, because if you like Batman, you're gonna like this movie. Like, that's not a guarantee, but it's near guarantee. Right? Like, you need to see this movie. It's, like, essential to the Batman experience, pretty much. And it's just, like... And also, I don't know, I just really, really like it. And I highly recommend it to, like, just... Even if you're not a Batman fan, you will get enjoyment out of this movie because it's just a good movie. You know, Tim Burton is a good director. Who'da thunk it? Right? And, you know, it's just amazing. And I love this movie, and I just have a big... I haven't seen this movie in a while. And I just think this movie reignited... maybe not reignited, but it just made me realize how much I fucking love Tim Burton movies. I kind of forgot how much I love Tim Burton movies, because I haven't seen one in a while, but man, his style is just unmatched. And, but one thing, this is a bit of a nitpick, but, like, nobody looks like their comic book counterpart whatsoever. Like, Commissioner Gordon is this fat police officer when Commissioner Gordon is not fat whatsoever. Maybe he was at this time, but I don't think he was. And also, Eckhart. He doesn't look like that in the comics either, or, I mean, he didn't look like that in the Christian Bale movies. Maybe he does look like that in the comics, I'm not completely sure. But, like, yeah, Harvey Dent doesn't look like Harvey Dent. Like, everybody doesn't really look like their comic book counterpart, but that's fine, that's a bit of a nitpick, you know. Most, like, movies don't usually do that, go the route of, like, complete comic book loyalty, which I'm okay with. If you can do the hero right on their own, not just by their looks, but the looks help. Not saying that the movie looks bad, just saying, like, physically their actors don't look like their comic book counterparts. Bit of a nitpick. But yeah. Love this movie, and I think I'd rate it like an 8 out of 10. I could give this an 8 out of 10. Highly recommend it. You should definitely go out and see this movie if you're a Batman fan, superhero fan, or just like an action movie fan. If you if you just like movies, I bet you're gonna like this movie. And if you haven't seen it, go see it now. Absolute classic. You will not regret it. And yeah, I think I've said all I need to say. I think I've said my piece. So guys, hope you like this video. Share with your friends, subscribe, turn notifications on, comment down below on how much you liked it. And I've been running Time HD. And you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Signing off. I mean, it's like a box set. I have to point at which movie it is.
Yeah, okay. That's the face you want to make, though? There you go.